Bring in Simone Eli. Simone, how are we doing today?
Patrick, what is up, man? Happy Thursday.
Happy
what an introduction
Thursday.
that was. Strays towards my golf game, but, at least a little bit of pub, I guess. But what an exciting day, man. Well, this is pretty awesome. Big news today, no question.
You got your red on. You got the background all red, so you came prepared.
Roll Tide Red. Roll Tide Red. And, admittedly, I'm married into an Auburn family, and so it's not like I personally cheer for Alabama. That's no secret, especially ask anybody who resides in Birmingham or Mobile. They will tell you that they told me I've been biased for the last, decade and a half or so. But I will tell you this, it is an exciting time because I, on the other hand, love documentaries, sports documentaries. Mm-hmm. And it's so funny that you brought up The Last Dance, Patrick, because when I saw this launch for the Saban and the tease video for this to come out in October, the first thing that I thought as well was, wow, I'm going to watch this in one setting, just like I did The Last Dance, because this is going to be that good.
I'm just, when I saw this come across this morning, like you said, I had to go and watch the trailer. And the first thing I realized was, oh my goodness, we are truly going to get an in-depth analysis of like what it was like behind the scenes. Because I think the part that I'm personally looking forward to the most, and this might be also because, I'm in my gym phase right now and I need some extra motivation. And I really hope we do get some of those locker room speeches that he gave just for my own personal benefits. That way I can, stash them off to the side, play them in the gym.
It's so funny that you bring that up because I'm not like embarrassed to say this by any means. This is just like, I guess, the former athlete in me, right? So when I started covering Nick Saban in Alabama, the first time that I ever covered Alabama was going back to 2013. The first time I ever had a job in Mobile, and then I was in Birmingham and then back in Mobile. And so all through that Saban run, the national championships, and of course his, retirement that shocked everybody, and all the things that happened in 2020. And I will say this, I've only sat in on, 100 plus press conferences, and it was motivating just to be a media member in those press conferences and listen to the way that he spoke. I mean, he definitely ripped your butt too, and reminded you that you don't know football nearly as much as you think that you do. And I posted some of these memories on Instagram, but it was very rewarding. And it was one of those things, Patrick, where in real time, you knew you were watching the greatest ever, but it's impossible to like soak it all up and also just pay attention to cover the team at the same time. And so it was very inspiring. It was one of those things where you walked away from press conferences with as much of a message as the guys or whatever it was that Saban was trying to get out of it. And maybe that was like the youthfulness in me as well, because I'm in my mid-20s and this is my first few jobs. And so you're easily kind of just like skewed by what coaches are saying. Whereas nowadays, you have like you don't take anything for exactly what it looks like,
right.
Being 15 years into the business. But man, of course, what he was saying to players behind closed doors, like that's a whole other story. But it was just very, very neat to see, just him take all of college football and all of sports by storm.
I feel like I have such a different perspective on him just because I didn't grow up in and around the Southeastern Conference. I would always watch it, every once in a while when the Syracuse Orange weren't playing at a certain time or if it was just on the TV in the background.
Yeah.
And I think everyone in the Northeast, like they know Nick Saban as the GOAT of college football. But what is something that the average person doesn't know about him that you got to learn while you were covering him?
I think one thing that would, and I don't want to speak for you, Patrick, but you went to West Virginia, right? Of course. And Nick Saban has a lot of ties there and he's beloved there. And I will say from conferences outside looking into the SEC, so the ACC, the Big Ten, definitely, he's a not well-liked guy. It's one of those guys where you got to respect him, right? You might hate him, but you have to respect how good he is. And because they saw him, for those 60 minutes on a field, right? So because they saw him go win national championships and in this hard, stoic, very, serious, screaming at Lane Kiffin, tapping guys in the butt or like being nose to nose with them and just this tough guy. But Nick Saban loved his players. And I think that that's what we're going to see the most. I think that's part of what we saw in this tease trailer. I mean, I think I saw Julio Jones, who, of course, is down there from the Gulf Coast, had tears in his eyes. So I'm looking forward to hearing what he had to say. And all of these guys who are impacted by what Nick Saban brought their life. And coaches, too. I mean, so much Steve Sarkisian. I mean, this is a guy, I think the quote you heard, and A.J. McCarron, I mean, there's so many people who are a part of this documentary And that's because Nick Saban has been a part of their life. He's helped make them a millionaire. He's helped, revitalize their coaching career. He helped make them a great linebacker or a great leader or quarterback or husband. And that mattered to him. So the man's heart is ginormous. But on the outside looking in, he just looks like a tough guy who just won a lot, So I can see why that perception throughout the nation probably came about during that run because, hey, okay, he looked like a tough guy, but inside, the guy had a huge heart, has a huge heart.
I might be mistaken here, but in my opinion, I feel like he was the one that fueled the SEC hatred just because he won so much. Like, the reason why people hate the SEC so much today is in part because of him, because you think about Alabama, I mean, he is synonymous with the university.
Bro, it's absolutely true. I mean, when I came to Mobile in 2013, I had no idea what I was getting into. I mean, I played college basketball at Bowling Green. I mean, I knew that Nick Saban had coached at Toledo at one point. I hated Toledo, so I didn't even care. I'm like, screw this. I remember I got to Mobile, and I actually watched it's an incredible documentary. I mean, it is so well done. It's like the War Tide and Roll Eagle or whatever. It's about the Iron Bowl, of course.
Yeah.
And that is how I learned about the Iron Bowl. That and the Grand Bay Watermelon Festival, one of the first two things that I went and covered. Like, the Iron Bowl, this rivalry is 365. I mean, it's absolutely insane. These people hate each other. I mean, you got people, killing trees and like that are very meaningful to Auburn. I mean, these are like very serious crimes and offenses and things that happen because of this game. And when I got there, Alabama or Auburn had won like 4 straight national championships. And Auburn played for the one in 2013 and then broke the streak of the Iron Bowl national titles because you got Alabama in back-to-back. You got Auburn winning it in 2010 and then Alabama. And then 2013 is absolutely insane. You got the kick six, of course. I mean, like the most historic game, not just in Iron Bowl history, but in probably college football history and the way that one ended. And there's no question that just the simple winning and the way that they did it, the process that they did it. Again, listen, I'm just going to tell you right now.
I knew you were going to grab that.
This is the book that sits on my desk, okay? This guy, I think what you saw in that tease video that was put out a minute ago is you had someone say traitor. You had somebody say genius. He exemplifies every single one of those.
Yeah.
Every one.
Absolutely. I mean, I feel like there are some times that I get on here and I'm interviewing a coach or a player, and I do get a little bit nervous. And I think that's something that, some people that are sitting at home might not realize. It's like, hey, you're actually talking to a coach or a player here, and you still do get nervous. Nick Saban, you talked about tough, will get in your face, and will let you know if you don't know football. Was there ever a moment in your career while you were covering him where you were thinking to yourself, like, oh, my goodness, I am so nervous to ask him a question?
I'm trying to think of a moment that I wasn't thinking that. I can't think of a moment that I didn't think that.
Yeah.
Not one. Every single time. It could have been the first interview, which I sent you those pictures of me I'm wearing an oversized station polo. It's ridiculous. And I'm telling you right now, I could hardly breathe. I was at a golf tournament, okay?
Yeah.
And my idiot self at 21 years old, literally 2 months out of school, asks Nick Saban for a picture before he teed off. Okay, every other journalist there looked at me like, who is this chick asking this guy for a picture? And he took it, by the way, so I'm not even mad. Quite frankly, who all has that picture? So whatever, YOLO.
That's a flex right there.
Okay? So exactly, like I have this picture. I look like I'm, 12 and a half years old, and I don't even know what I'm wearing. But I mean, it's dead summer. It's really, really hot in Mobile. But I have that picture. I'm not even mad. I mean, looking back, I couldn't believe that I did it. I would never do it again. I asked the guy for a picture. Maybe nowadays, not that he's not coaching, I'm not covering his team, but I couldn't believe that I did it. But there was never a time, to answer your question, Patrick, that I did not have anxiousness towards asking him a question, because that was the type of respect that Nick Saban commanded and still does. I mean, you see him, and to me, I don't know if you don't know this story. Our entire state, the entire state of Alabama, blew up because a longtime sports director in Birmingham, his name is Rick Hartley, he's a good friend, made this huge post about how you should refer to Nick Saban in press conferences as Coach Saban, and not Nick, not Saban, because someone had referred to him as Saban. I'm telling you right now, when I tell you the internet exploded over, like, what is the proper etiquette and how to address Nick Saban. I've never seen anything like it in my entire life. And I'll say, I never have not called him coach. people say, Nick, ask him a question. I look at them like, who
you
the
crazy?
hell are you? Like, you can't say that. I mean, you're about to get slapped. What are you talking about, Nick? You're not first name basis. This man is I mean, he's like a pastor. I feel like I'm talking to a pope when he walked in press conferences. I mean, like, you sat up straight. You didn't say anything. You didn't have phones going. I mean, it was like you were attentive, and you had to be. And he commanded that type of respect, and he earned it.
And I mean, there's in no world where I'd ever refer to him as Nick. And I don't know if it's just the former athlete in me, but I mean, anytime you're coach, I still, when I talk to coaches, I refer to them as coach. I'll never refer to them as by their first name.
I'm talk to my like coach.
Yeah, I'm like, hey.
My husband's the coach. I've talked to him. I called him coach. I mean,
what's up, coach?
Like, we've been married 10 years. And I'll be like, hey, coach. I mean, like, it's just a respect thing, but there's no bigger name and no bigger, figure, so to speak, than Nick Saban. And to me, it was almost like you were cussing in this press conference to call him by his first name and to not reference him in a proper manner. But, when it comes to this documentary, I think that any time that we as like sports consumers, as sports fans, as sports reporters, or just people who just love everything about the game, when you get the opportunity to have him unpack anything, it's going to be incredible. And that is what I cannot wait for. It's going to be great.
I teased it a little bit there in that video. Let's go ahead and bring this up because you sent this to me earlier, and I need you to just run through this entire thing.
Okay, so first of all, this is quite a privilege. You might not know that. All right, so let's go back in 2013. I asked Nick Saban for a picture. He forgave me for interrupting his golf game because I was invited to be a celeb media coach at the annual spring game, which is a very big deal. I mean, I'm actually wearing the Alabama script A. I remember I had to go when I went on TV. I was explaining myself. Look at that! I even had the box and everything. Like, I had headsets.
Oh yeah.
I had a whistle. I have no idea why I have a whistle. I don't know what the hell I'm doing.
Why do you have the belt?
I do have the defensive belt. This is me talking trash to CJ Mosley, like about whether he ever had the defensive belt. The guy that only like led the entire team in like tackles. And
no big deal.
I think for most of his career, but but it was incredible. In Big Al, and it was the spring game, and Nick Saban back in the day, he always wore a total suit. The guy was in the middle of the field during spring A-Day there in Tuscaloosa, and he would wear a full suit. But it was amazing to see. I got to see his bathroom. All right, so his bathroom was like pristine. Nobody else was allowed to use it. It was just sitting there. It was kind of hilarious. I took a picture. I even took a selfie with it. That's embarrassing looking back on. But I was very proud of the fact that I got to be in the locker room. It was a guest locker room, I will say.
Yeah.
I didn't get to go to the main one. But it was really, really cool to just be able to be kind of behind the scenes. That was during, Tua Tagovailoa, Jalen Hurts era. I mean, just all the trauma at the quarterback situation. And so, man, what a time. What a time to be alive. You don't even realize how amazing it is in real time. But you look back on it and you're like, dang, like, you get these opportunities to be around the greatest ever. And, it certainly was a privilege and an honor.
I'm going to ask you a couple of questions, and I think I know what you're going to answer to the first one. Just ever since Coach retired, we've seen the more personable side. I mean, now he's on game day. Yeah. Everyone laughs at him, and it seems like we're getting an inside look at who he truly is. But when you go back to covering him, what was your favorite memory of covering him? And then what was your favorite memory of covering just Alabama in general while he was there? But I think I know where you're going to go with this.
Oh, but you're asking for a specific game?
Anything. Just favorite memory in general. Putting you on the spot here.
I am on the spot because there's so many. It's like hard to condense. And quite frankly, ever since this release of the documentary tease, I like all I can do is just think about, all of the different. My mind has just been swirling. I mean, I think that from an overarching standpoint, not to be sentimental by any means, but I think that Nick Saban never shied away from like having to go answer tough questions. This is again not one specific thing. But you think about the Iron Bowl and the kick six. You think about these, them getting shellacked by Clemson in the national championship game. Like in those moments, you saw a guy go and take accountability, which by the way doesn't happen very often nowadays. You don't see that. Everyone's pointing fingers here, passing the buck here. But this is a guy who walked in and would take accountability for why things were. And of course he held his guys accountable, which I always appreciated. But I mean, I think that one thing that I always enjoyed is that he beat the crap out of Kirby, so anytime that I just being real. I mean,
man.
What I love about Nick Saban is that he did pour into so many different careers. All right. And Kirby finally got his, right? He finally got his, but he still does have that little man syndrome a little bit. And I'm just going to be honest with you. It was almost like a laughing stock of jokes for us in the media covering that dynamic. And so it's amazing what he's done in the tree of Saban coaches and assistants, and how he went undefeated, 19 or 20-0 for the longest time before finally, I think it was Kirby that won one. It didn't, after he blew the one in Atlanta in front of his own team, and the fake punt and all of that. But anytime that he beat Kirby was enjoyable. There's no question about that. But yeah, it's just it was just amazing. Now I want to know what it is that you think is my favorite memory, because I could be missing something more specific.
Well, my answer that I thought that you were going to give to the question of just covering Alabama in general was the whole going to Hawaii for Tua, because I remember you told me about that. I was like, oh my goodness.
The University of Alabama did not like that, though.
They didn't like that? Uh-oh.
Heck no. I mean, come on. Like, I got invited by Nalu, all right? So it's not like, I went through, the guy, so Josh Maxson, who I thought should be a part of this documentary, by the way, because no one's going to have more stories about the real, because he was Saban's, handler.
Yeah.
He was the guy that was going to pretty much be the built a wall up between the world and what Nick Saban's behind the scenes, what he wanted to keep in house. He was the one that had to deliver all of the notes of what could be asked by the media before Saban went and did a press conference. And I'm telling you right now, if Josh missed on anything, if he was asked something he didn't know about, you knew Josh was about to get ripped in the back room when those press conferences were over. It was very remarkable. But there's no question that just you think about that time, you think about what that was like going to Hawaii with Tua. That was an invite from Nalu. I went with the Tonga Bailoa family virtually on our station dime, did exclusive coverage, won an award for it. It was amazing. But the university did not like that. And that was in part because of the Saban rule about freshmen. Yeah. Tua Tagovailoa had done very minimal interviews to that point. When you were a freshman in Saban's program, you were not rolled up to the media. And so when he comes in and he earns the starting job and all this, the drama with Jalen Hurts and all of that, and then they go and win the national championship, or he gets plugged in, I should say, to win that championship in that game, he just skyrocketed.
Yeah.
And it changed everything. Which, of course, a year later, that was ironic, because then he was replaced by Jalen in the SEC championship game, who led him to the title. And it was crazy to see it all unfold in real time. But yeah, they did not like that. I remember I got a call from Josh. He was like, "You're going to Hawaii?" I was like, aloha, baby. Yes, I am. Tune in to our station in Birmingham, because you'll be able to see all the exclusive coverage right there, my guy. It's going to be great. So, yeah, I was like, bon voyage, I'm out. So, so that was amazing, in its own right. But just seeing the development of that program, to see the total domination of that program. And then ultimately, you can't talk about Saban without talking about the moment that he retired.
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you, I just landed in Orlando to go to Disney World. And we always had this running joke. Okay, when we went on vacation in television, it was like, all right, don't call me. I'm not coming back to work unless Saban retires. I swear to God, hand on the Bible, those are the things that we've said. Okay, out loud. We would have said out loud for years. I'm going on vacation. Going on vacation. Don't call me. Not coming back. Call me if Saban retires. Well, I'm sitting in a hotel. They're in Disney. Had just landed. My son's young, ready to go to Animal Kingdom. Just killing it. Can't wait. All this stuff. Bart looks over, my husband. He goes, "Hey, babe." I'm like, "What's up?" He said, "Nick Saban just retired." I'm like, "Shut up." "Shut up." That's not even funny right now. I'm trying to enjoy this vacation. The season just ended. I'm not dealing with this. He's like, Chris Lowe tweet. I'll never forget it. And the next thing, I'm on the phone. We're calling the station. I'm calling Gerhard, trying to figure out how we're going to get this coverage, who we're going to talk to, how did this come about? How did nobody know about it? And, I think it's just very, very telling about the day and age of where we are right now with college athletics, because I think ultimately he looked up and said, I ain't doing this. I am not catering to players. I am not going to do this crap. Now some people would maybe argue that he had been paying players, a long time before they were actually getting paid on the up and up. But the point being, he wasn't gonna cater to it, and he left. And I think that you're seeing a guy now on college, game day, it's amazing for us to be able to witness a guy who is remarkable on the air and so much fun with such insight, so well respected, and for us to still kind of get that from him is very rewarding. He's not just off on a beach somewhere. So I think that's pretty great.
I'm sure when he heard this whole news about NFL players coming back to college, the first time he heard it, he was probably like, I'm so glad I'm not dealing with this anymore.
I think he said that every day since he's left.
Yeah.
Every day since he's left, something different. And here's what I love about Nick Saban, though. and I think this is telling about just people in life. Are you part of the problem or are you part of the solution? Because if you're just sitting there and doing nothing, I would argue you're part of the problem. Nick Saban knows the influence and the voice that he has. Long and will until he, passes away, which, Bear Bryant lived forever. If you ask Alabama fans, and Saban will as well. But he is continuing to impact. He's on the front lines of the Protect College Sports Act and trying to get some things, federal regulation done for NIL and to kind of get the transfer portal thing, toothpaste back in the tube, so to speak. And if anybody can do it, it's him. He knows the value that he has in this game right now, in saving college athletics. And he's not just going and kicking his legs up, on the beach, which he deserves, by the way. And I think he is spending some time. I'm sure he's playing a lot of golf. No question about that. But he is also trying to push this forward, be the part of the solution when it comes to college sports, and not just say, not my problem anymore. Someone else can deal with that. Maybe when it comes to in the locker room, but as a public figure and a guy who is so intelligent, is a genius of the game, is a genius of what college sports entails, he is continuing to, just make a difference. And that, to me, is, very honorable. I think it's what makes him so great, and will continue to make him great for years to come.
Final thing before I let you go, flipping it to the present day. Keelan Russell is now the quarterback over there in over there in Tuscaloosa. I went on the record and said that he is going to be the very next Bryce Young, because when you look back at the two of them, Bryce sat behind Mac, and then Keelan sat behind Ty. I think Mac and Ty kind of have similar play styles, and then we all know what Bryce Young did. I think that, honestly, if he won a national title, he would undoubtedly be the best quarterback in Alabama's history while he was at the university. Do you think you don't think that?
I mean, there are many, many notable athletes, players. I mean, here's the thing. That's a lofty statement for a guy who has not played a meaningful snap yet. I mean, of course, anyone that's going to go in there, earn a starting job as a freshman, right? And to go and to be, some world beater and go win national. Of course, you would go down as like this history making. But number one, this game right now, the day and age of you going and running the table, the day and age of you going dominating week in and week out is over. It's going to take all 11 on both sides of the ball. And quite frankly, Alabama's got to figure out what their identity is right now.
Right.
And I fully think that things only get better with experience, right? In the words of Gus Malzahn, you can't replace experience, and that is true. So for Kalen DeBoer and company, it can only get better as far as having your roster, having your guys. I saw some tweets saying people feel like this is finally the team that he wants to go and win with. I mean, it damn well better be, given the fact that we're in year 4 now or whatever. And so, it's the time is now or never, so to speak. But he has all the support in the world. And also, I think there's a lot of leeway right now, Patrick. I think that we're seeing this time and day where, man, if you're firing coaches based on a bad game, a bad year, or a bad recruiting class, like, you aren't seeing what's going on, because it ain't easy anywhere. And, you may want to, stick in with some coaches nowadays, because just the fact that they're showing up day in and day out, I don't care how many millions you get paid to deal with that, because I'm telling you, no way. But
no way.
Anyway, so, I mean, we'll see. I think it's going to be a remarkable, exciting, as it always is, and dramatic college football season. I think if Lane Kiffin has anything to do with what this can look like, man, just turn up the heat on everything, because it's only getting crazier by the second. So,
hey, you know what I'm going to say about week 1. Clemson's winning that game.
Oh, my God. How did that go last year? He's
got a better team this year. Dabo said they had the worst secondary he's ever had last year.
I literally, no, this is not, like, gone are the days of 2017. Gone are the days of Deshaun Watson. Gone are the days of Dabo and his bad khakis.
If Clemson wins, I'm having you on the show, and I'm just going to let you listen to me.
You better have me on the show regardless. And if they don't win, you better have me on the show.
I'll wear purple that day. How about that? I'll wear purple that day.
You know I'm going to have something to say.
Yeah, okay. Simone, always great having you on, and looking forward to chatting with you in the future.
I love you, my guy. Keep killing it, and looking forward to week 1.